Before the video starts, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for getting us to 3,000 subscribers. It's insane that so many of you like hearing me talk about anime, and I wouldn't be where I was if it wasn't for you guys. On top of that milestone, this video will also serve as my 1-year anniversary video. It's been an amazing year on YouTube, and the amount of success I had last year never ceases to surprise me. So once again, thank you all for your continued support, and I hope you all stick around as we tear through 2024. In order to celebrate these two wonderful occasions, I've decided to rank every arc in Soul Eater from worst to best. As with most of my videos of this kind, we have to set a few rules before we jump right in. The first rule is that these arcs will be ranked based on their manga versions. Since Soul Eater is an incomplete anime, I don't think it would be fair to use things that the anime adaptation of certain arcs may have fixed or enhanced against arcs that didn't get that opportunity. The second rule is that some of these arcs have been combined due to a number of different reasons, ranging from certain arcs being too short or just flowing better when considered as a single arc. With these rules established, let's jump right in. Out of every arc in Soul Eater, this combined arc is the only one that I can truly call bad. Being composed of the very first 6 chapters of Soul Eater, it's no surprise that this arc is a bit rough around the edges, but my god are these chapters not good. If you're somewhat familiar with my channel, you know what I'm about to say. There is way, and I mean way too much fan service spread throughout these 6 chapters. And not just any regular fan service, this is early 2000s Atsushi Okubo fan service, which means it's extremely weird and extremely untasteful 99% of the time. This is the biggest barrier to entry for the Soul Eater manga, and I can't really blame anyone for dropping the series within these first 6 chapters, because they're just stuffed to the brim with the worst type of comedy that comes with a manga written by Atsushi Okubo. Thankfully, the non-bad parts of these arcs build up a decent foundation for what's to come, with the introduction to our full main cast and the world of Soul Eater itself. Despite being this low, I really like the Reunion Express arc. It's one of the few complete arcs that's almost entirely set up for future events. Beginning with the incredibly eerie and unsettling return of Medusa via the method of taking over a child's body is one hell of a start, as it's one of the defining moments that shows just how truly evil Medusa is. The entire section where Medusa slowly but surely invade Rachel's minds is heart-wrenching to watch, especially if you put yourself in the perspective of the mother. We peer into the beginning of Blackstar's upcoming character arc as he fights other students seemingly at random as well. The bigger events of this arc are Medusa and Arachne's reunion, this being the first time the sisters have interacted since Arachne's reawakening, and of course, Kid's fight on the Runaway Express is a very good fight that ends with the introduction of Avon. Well, at least it's the first time we hear his name. The ending of this arc is really great, as it's the thought-dead Medusa finding Krona and once again pulling them under her control. It's one of the saddest, most anxiety-filled moments in the entire manga to me. These 4 arcs are essentially extensions of the prologues, as they're used to introduce or develop what the dynamics between our main cast will be for the rest of the series. The Demon Sword and Experiment arcs are used as a way to develop Maka and Soul's relationship, the Uncanny Sword arc is used to develop Black Star and Tsubaki, and the Black Dragon arc is used to establish the trio dynamic of Kid, Liz, and Patty. The Demon Sword arc introduces 2 vital characters in Medusa and Krona, while also introducing the concept of black blood to the story and causes conflict between Maka and Soul. The Uncanny Sword arc starts Black Star's overarching character arc that lasts for about a third of the story and gives perspective to what Black Star and Tsubaki's relationship is like. The Experiment arc is the conclusion to the conflict caused by the Demon Sword arc, and the Black Dragon arc introduces us to what kind of character Kid is. This arc does very well in terms of what it's trying to achieve while introducing us to a great amount of important characters and concepts. The Grigori arc is the arc that takes place immediately after the Operation Capture Baba Yaga Castle arc and extends to the beginning of the time skip. Despite only being 5 chapters total, this is a very eventful arc, starting with Stein and Marie vs Justin Law and covering the formation of Spartoy, Maka turning Soul into a death scythe, Black Star getting kicked in the nuts, Gopher's introduction, and Maka vs. Gopher. Half of this arc is a conclusion to the previous one, with things that were left in the open, such as the fate of Giriko, who would go on to later join Noah and Justin Law, or Angela's fate after the death of Mifune. The other half of this arc is set up for the post-time skip era of Soul Eater through the formation of Spartoy, like I said earlier, and the further corruption of Krona at the hands of Medusa. I think my favorite part of this arc are all the character interactions that occur during it. We get stuff like Kim and Angela, two peaceful witches, the first look at the partnership and either eventual or already active relationship of Stein and Marie, and my favorite interaction is the rare one that happens between Black Star and Liz, who's worried about Kid. This is an interesting arc because it has multiple events while also being a conclusion and setup arc, squeezed into 5 chapters and not feeling rushed at all. The Clown arc serves as one of Maka's defining character arcs as she learns to find courage within the madness. Everything about this arc is simply eerie, from its setting to its art. The clowns are genuinely terrifying design-wise, and the ability to quite literally grab someone's soul and pull it closer and closer to insanity is honestly cool as hell, and scary. This is also the arc where Maka uses Devil Hunt Slash for the first time, and it's one of my favorite moments for Maka as a character. Besides that, we get to see a lot of Blair trolling the hell out of the Flying Dutchman to cut the tension up a little bit. This short 4-chapter arc really has everything to make it entertaining and ends with one of the best cliffhangers in the series. These 2 arcs are here because of what they give in terms of character interactions. The first 2 chapters revolve around the group of Killick, his 2 weapons Pot of Thunder and Pot of Fire, Kid's weapons Liz and Patty, Azusa, and Kim and Jacqueline. And getting to see Killick take the center stage here is amazing, as he's one of my favorite side characters in Soul Eater. The fights he's in are amazing too, as he switches between his weapons and Liz and Patty, giving no shortage of variety and combat options. The set piece of running through a town filled with civilians being controlled is so fun to read, and then the fight with Medusa's man-made clown is one of the best since we don't get to see Killick and Kim fight together too often. Also, Earth, Shaman, Thunder, and Fire are just 2 of the sickest character designs in Soul Eater. The other half of this arc is no slouch either, as it begins with Black Star and Tsubaki versus Krona, Erika, and Mizune. This arc also provides us with Medusa versus Justin Law, and then Justin Law versus Tezuka Tilpoka, all within 4 chapters. The amount of amazing choreography, interesting matchup, and overall cool shit is astounding. The end of this arc also serves as setup for the Salvage arc. The Trial and Enrollment arc is one of the most important arcs in Soul Eater, as it introduces us to characters who would become main antagonists for a decently sized part of the story. During the trial period held for Akrona's admission into the DWMA, we led to an enchanter village where we meet Giriko, one of the coolest characters in Soul Eater. His fight choreography, personality, and design would have been enough to have this arc in the top 10 if he was the main antagonist, but even further than that, we meet none other than Arachne Gorgon, heretic witch, mother of all demon weapons, and sister of Medusa. As soon as Arachne enters the scene, she commands it with her presence. Obviously, I've combined this arc with another, that being the Bodyguard arc. This short 2-chapter arc is one of my favorites simply because it serves as the catalyst to one of the best character arcs in the entire manga. Yes, I'm talking about Black Star vs. Mifune 2. This is one of my favorite fights in Soul Eater. This short fight is amazing in every way, but especially in its choreography. In hindsight, this is just a fraction of a glimpse at what Black Star vs. Mifune 3 would eventually go on to be, and even then, it's still an extraordinary fight and arc. I'm going to be completely honest. The biggest reason why this arc is as high as it is because it contains what is probably the greatest individual moment in all of Soul Eater: Krona killing Medusa. Even after what we had witnessed Krona do at the beginning of this arc, more than likely killing a Death Scythe and his Meister and encapsulating an entire city in a madness sphere, for the first time ever Medusa shows appreciation for Krona, and Krona snaps. After throwing away everything for Medusa as instructed, there is now one more thing they have to cast aside, and in one of the most chilling, frightening set of pages in the entire manga, Krona stabs Medusa countless times. The craziness doesn't end there though. The Hunt arc provides us with the revelation that the Kishin is hiding on the moon, and Maka's soul perception sequence here is absolutely astounding. These arcs provide some of the highest peaks that exist in Soul Eater, and I really do think they've earned this place here. The Brew Tempest arc is one of the big event arcs in Soul Eater, and it definitely shows out as one. Taking place at one of the most interesting locations in Soul Eater, the Lost Island, this arc could be considered somewhat of a three-way war made by the hands of Medusa. Seeing the DWMA and Arachnophobia clash is truly a spectacle, and the standout fight for me is Sid versus Mifune. We have the Sword God currently acting as a wall blocking Blackstar's development as a character and warrior versus the man who took Blackstar in and trained him to be the fighter he is today. These two are some of the most skilled people in their fields, and seeing them fight is frankly amazing. The strategic maneuvers and choreography are perfectly executed, and it's extremely entertaining to read. There's also the fact that Killick, Kim, and Ox graduate from being background characters to full-blown side characters and remain as such for the rest of the story. We get more lore in the form of the giant magnetic field tornado capturing a moment in time, and we see Abon for the first time here as well. This is just such a solid arc with high points in every category. The twist that Medusa orchestrated this entire scuffle and has the real brew is such an amazing way to shake things up and a wonderful example of dramatic irony. The internal investigation arc is amazing as well, but the thing that puts it in this spot is the arrest of Dr. Stein for the murder of Joe Butataki. This is one of the best plot twists and moments in the entire story, and it just further elevates the tension in the story. This is the first big arc that has multiple connecting plot points, and it's probably the most important out of the early Soul Eater arcs when it comes to its overall effect on the story. The revelation that the Kishin is sleeping under the DWMA, Sid bursting into the room after seemingly dying again, hearing Asura's origin, it's all so good. As far as the fights go, there are only two of note, and they're both goddamn amazing. Maka vs Krona is good, but when Maka gets taken over by madness, it's still one of my favorite moments in the series. The second big fight is Medusa vs Stein, and this is such a spectacle. Medusa has one of my favorite fighting styles with the use of her vector arrows, and Stein's fighting style, while simple, is incredibly satisfying to watch. The Kishin being resurrected is one of the creepiest moments in the series. This arc just has so much setup for future events like Stein's madness and the open-ended death of Medusa. I also think this arc contains the best version of early Soul Eater's art style. This is the arc that really set the story into motion, and it certainly deserves to be in the top 5. This set of arcs is the true beginning of the endgame. With Death the Kid leading a charge against the clown, this arc starts off with a bang and doesn't settle down until we get to the Witch's Trial arc, which is great in its own right. Since that's the shortest part of this combined arc, I'm going to talk about it first. While it is subject to some of Okubo's bad humor, this arc is mainly centered around Kid making his resolve known and solidifying his values and plans for after he becomes the new Lord Death. The war part of this arc is no slouch either. Finally getting to see all the remaining Death Scythes in action is so satisfying, and it's also the origin of this panel. This arc also shows Akane, Clay, and Sid looking for Asura, and the way this venture into the darkness is portrayed provides a great amount of tension. The art for Asura's madness illusions is creepy as hell, as always, Kid's plea for the witches' cooperation and them showing up at the last second to help the DWMA is just an amazing moment to witness after all of the fighting they've had to do throughout the entire series. And also, finally getting to see Stein go all out against Justin Law is incredible. This is the final arc of Soul Eater, so of course it's up this high. This arc has some of the highest peaks in Soul Eater: Black Star's Transcendence, Kid becoming a true death god, and goddamn Kishin Hunt, man. When I first read Asura sticking his arm through Maka's chest, my heart dropped, but when I moved on to the next chapter to see that page of her smiling, I knew that some generational shit was about to go down. The Blackwood armor is one of, if not the coolest power-up in Soul Eater. It's just such a good moment. Black Star and Kid opening up Asura's defenses for Maka to get the final hit brought tears to my eyes, and Maka and Krona's moments inside Asura made me actually cry. Not to mention the actual end of Soul Eater being a part of this arc, it certainly belongs in the top 3. The Salvage arc takes us into the Book of Abon, one of the most interesting settings in Soul Eater. The way it functions is entertaining, and oh boy does this arc have some amazing moments. The entirety of Black Star vs. Kid was great, not as a fight but as a set of character interactions, Maka's escapades through the chapters of Envy and Sloth, and the eventual fight with Giriko serving to further strengthen the bond between Maka and Soul. Also, female Giriko, that's it, that's all I need. The amount of great character moments in this arc is insane, and this is also the home to some of Soul Eater's best comedic moments, exclusively due to Excalibur. Even after escaping the Book of Abon, this arc doesn't slow down at all. We get the fight against Noah, which holds the symbolic passing of the torch between the adults of the DWMA and the extremely powerful and capable students. This arc has it all from big events to amazing character moments and development, but there's just one more that surpasses it for me. I've alluded to my love for this arc in a few previous videos, but I've never fully dived into it. This arc truly has everything. Want spectacle? Death the Kid vs. Mosquito, Maka vs. Arachne, and Black Star vs. Mifune 3 all happen in this one arc. Want side characters? There's an entire subplot dedicated to Ox and Kim's relationship, and it's really damn good. Want a plot twist? I'll show you a damn plot twist. Krona was never there, and Medusa took over Arachne's body, coming out on top of another orchestrated plan. Throughout the entire arc, I never fully trusted Medusa, but I never saw this coming, oh my god. The peaks of this arc are also almost unmatched, and there are no lows whatsoever. This is also the arc where Atsushi Yokobo's art evolves from a pretty unique art style to my favorite manga art style of all time. This is such a busy arc, but at the same time it's organized and flows incredibly well. It's the culmination of everything that's happened thus far, and truly delivers in every way imaginable. Even when rereading, I still want to cry at the beautiful conclusion that is Mifune's death, and Liz's reaction to Kid being abducted by Noah. Everything in this arc is executed perfectly, and truly is my favorite arc in Soul Eater. I don't usually do outros, but to add on to the celebratory nature of this video, I've come with an announcement. I said this on a community post recently, but I wanted to do a formal announcement of my second channel, RayKx. This channel will be dedicated to everything I can't put on this channel, including but not limited to things like tier lists and gaming. In fact, the first set of videos planned to go up on this channel is my playthrough of Persona 5 Strikers. If that interests you, please consider subbing over there. That's it for this video, and once again, thank you all for 3,000 subscribers.
Lately I'm feeling so cool. Yeah. Come and get a taste of the hip soul food. Spice up the animal with neo haiku. While soul goes to school, way slash kung fu.